Remember to turn on all notifications so you don't miss a video. mikeyuubi made an excellent video titled The True Purpose of Rock Lee, which I'll link in the description. You can watch that first because in this essay, I'll be expanding upon something he said towards the end. Quote, his character arc was without a doubt completed. End quote. This is actually something I've been thinking about for a while, especially when I hear people say things like, Rock Lee was wasted. I believe I've figured out my thoughts on this subject. Plot and character are two of the four pillars of storytelling. If a character is on screen, they should either be moving the plot forward or developing characters. Moving the plot forward in the battle genre can be fighting an opponent. Developing characters can either be the character getting their own development or helping facilitate the development of another character. To be clear, development can be history that fleshes out the character, it can be a character arc that changes them, or it can simply be different sides of the character being brought out and displayed, making them a more rounded person. With that established, all characters are plot devices. They are tools that are created to accomplish something in the story. Very often, characters are given a journey that they must complete, a destination that they are set up to reach. This journey is something that the author sets up and is expected to pay off. Setup and payoffs are the bread and butter of any good story. You can tell what a character's journey is because if they were removed from the story before reaching their destination, it would feel unsatisfying. The journey is usually a goal or a character arc. A goal develops the plot and a character arc develops the character. For example, if Naruto died before he became Hokage, or if Sasuke died before killing Itachi, it'd feel unsatisfying. If any character died before completing their character arc, it'd feel unsatisfying. Some journeys like Sasuke's arc in part 2 have an unclear ending while it's unfolding, but once it ends, it all makes sense. Some arcs are a little tricky. Take Thorfinn from Vinland Saga. If you jump into his arc from where he's a teen, you'd think that the author was setting him up for revenge. But when you take into context what his father taught him in the flashback, you could conclude that he's not supposed to want revenge. Now, you know that characters are plot devices that often come with a journey to complete. This brings me to complete characters. When is a character completed? When they've completed all of the journeys set up for them. As mikeyuubi wonderfully broke down, Rock Lee completed his journey, and it even came full circle when he worked with Gaara at the end of part 1. Why is this important? Because a complete character is not required to be in the story. Think about it, if Rock Lee never returned after the Kimimaro fight, would you be complaining about his journey? No, I know I wouldn't, and that's because he was a complete character. In the same arc, Neji and Choji had scenes that made it seem like they were about to die after their battles. If they died there, would they have left any unpaid off setups? No, because their journeys were completed. Neji's journey was actually done after his fight against Naruto, but this arc was just solidifying the change that emerged from his journey. Like I said before, if they died before their journey was complete, there'd be a problem. Characters like Haku and Zabuza are never called wasted because they died after their journeys were completed, but I'll get to that later. Jiraiya is the exception that proves the rule. His journey actually wasn't completed, but there's something that was done to still make this satisfying. Jiraiya made the mistake of teaching Nagato the wrong message and even allowing for the 6 paths of pain's existence. His journey being completed would be for him to fix his mistakes by stopping them, but he's killed by them instead. He died before his journey was completed, but Naruto picks up his torch and completes the journey for him. He defeats Pain and even persuades him to adopt a new mentality. Since Jiraiya's pupil completed his journey for him, this exception works. This was done intentionally because Jiraiya was intended to be a tragic character. The proof is in chapter 382 when he says, "My life's tale was full of failure." As he thinks his life is worthless, he remembers Naruto and lets him inherit his will. It's like Kishimoto spelling out his plans for the narrative through his characters. Returning to deaths, when I gave the example of Lee, Neji, and Choji dying, you might have thought, but they're not dead, therefore they should be part of the story. If you did, that's where we disagree. I don't think my stance on this is objectively right, but I believe that if a character is on screen and not doing anything valuable with their screen time, they just shouldn't be on screen. I think of it like this, which soccer player is better? The one who's played 90 minutes and scored 3 goals, or the one who's played 3 minutes and scored 3 goals? A great example of a 90-minute player is a lot of JoJo's supporting cast. I love JoJo, but take part 3 for example. Kakyoin, Avdol, and Joseph are present for nearly half of the battles, but they rarely take part in any meaningful way. A lot of the time, they're either victims or just standing around watching. Versus Tower of Grey, everyone watches as Kakyoin fights. Against Polnareff, everyone watches Avdol fight, but they wanted a 1v1, so I'll let that slide. Versus Dark Blue Moon, everyone watches Jotaro fight. Versus Strength, everyone's incapacitated as Jotaro fights. I could go on with Hanged Man and Emperor, Wheel of Fortune, Death 13, and more. They aren't progressing the plot by fighting or developing their characters. That truly feels wasteful. Part 5 does this too against Soft Machine, Beach Boy and Grateful Dead, Babyface, White Album, and more. But for Naruto, as I've established, Lee already completed his journey, so there wasn't really anywhere to take his character. His lack of appearances past that makes him the 3-minute player with 3 goals. Sure, you could give him some cool fights, but without character development to support his battles, they'd be lacking, and then you'd be complaining that he wasn't given any good fights on par with Gaara. Lee vs Gaara was a great battle from a strategic and technical view, as I've analyzed in my video on it, but what elevated it was the character injected into it. However, there is a way Rock Lee could have had more character growth. I can look at Shikamaru for an example. His journey was incomplete by the end of part 1. He was supposed to become a great leader, but his first mission ended in failure, so he still had room to grow. But even if he finished his journey in part 1, Kishimoto did something that gave him another journey. Earlier, I said moving the character pillar forward can be helping facilitate the development of another character. That is what Asuma does for Shikamaru. His death gives his students the journey of accepting such a tragedy and avenging their teacher. Something like this could have been done for Lee. The perfect option would be killing Guy, but that doesn't take into account the greater context. Guy's journey wasn't finished. He still had backstory left, and had yet to show his true power gained from hard work. If Guy died after using the 8th gate against Madara, and this sparked a new journey for Lee, that could work, but that's getting off track. This actually ties into my video titled Tragedy and Moving Forward, where I break down how Naruto, as a story, focuses on characters that have experienced and are going through tragedy. Tragedy is a constant motif throughout the Focus characters, just like how the first arc of Bleach has the motif of grief, and all of the Focus characters have had a loved one die in the past. Therefore, Lee had no tragedy to make him the focus of a plot line, and he had no new journey to complete. Both are connected because a lot of the character journeys in Naruto are tied to the motif of tragedy. In conclusion, I believe a lot of the criticism Lee and the manga get is due to fans just wanting to see a character they liked and not taking into account all of the moving parts outside of that fact. They're thinking about what they want rather than what's good for the story. Lee is a complete character because he paid off everything that was set up for him. He completed his journey and wasn't required to do anything more. He also didn't experience any more tragedies that could have started a new journey. He did what he was meant to do, and if you trust opinions based on their popularity, look no further than Naruto's popularity polls. Lee ranked 6th, 5th, 8th, 7th, 13th, and 18th in the first 6 polls. In the combined votes from all 6, he ranked 9th. Finally, in poll 7, he ranked 20th. He's competing with characters that get a lot more screen time and development, yet he's managed to stay so high because the impact his completed character created back in part 1 rings strong. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and help me revolutionize the manga industry by buying my manga and spreading the word. All important links will be in the description.